Welcome to the May 22nd policy meeting of the Phoenix City Council. We will call the meeting to order and turn it over to council members for information and follow-up requests. Does anyone have a comment? Councilwoman Stark.
Thank you, Mayor. So last Thursday, we held our monthly District 3 Community Coffee Chat at Paradise Valley Mall. We had a great turnout, and we listened to Chris Mackey talk about potential redevelopment in the area. There's a lot of exciting things happening around the mall. And then tomorrow, the Black Mountain Precinct is having their Coffee with a Cop. It will be held at the Deer Valley Airport Restaurant, your district. And that is at 8:30, located at 702 West Deer Valley Road. And the Sunny Slope Historical Society Museum will be hosting a free presentation featuring the early history of television in Phoenix. I think it'll be quite fascinating. That's Saturday, May 25th at 10 a.m. at 737 East Hatcher Road. Thank you.
Thank you. And we do have one council member on the phone, two council members on the phone. With Nowakowski and DeCiccio with us by phone. Welcome, gentlemen.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Oh,
Do either of you have a comment?
I'm here, Mayor. Not me, Mayor, thank you.
Perfect. Vice Mayor Waring, then.
Thank you. I just want to thank Councilwoman Stark for partnering on the Fixing Cave Creek Road initiative, which finished, I guess, Monday, I think they finished. So,
That's teamwork.
yeah, so the whole thing is done after years of neglect. So I just want to say thank you for that. It worked out pretty doggone well.
Thank you. And while we're talking about Councilwoman Stark, I would like to congratulate her on winning the Phoenix Chamber's Sentinel Award, which is coming up. So recognizing your contribution to business in the city of Phoenix, congratulations. And Councilwoman Pastor has been very busy as well, attending 6 Phoenix Union High School districts, which apparently is a graduations yesterday, which apparently is a record. So very busy. And then today's a special policy session for 2 of our councilwomen, Councilwoman Guevara and Mendoza. Want to thank you guys for your service to the city of Phoenix. It has been wonderful working with you. I know people step up and serve in office because you want to make a better community, and it's exciting to celebrate what you've accomplished during your time as councilwoman. Not that you do not have a lot of work still yet to do, but this being a policy meeting, it's a good opportunity for us to step back a moment and thank you for your service and leadership. And Councilwoman Guevara, thank you for taking on things from small to big, whether it be working with us to improve streetlights in Maryville, to thinking long-term about how well we educate our next generation of leaders. We really appreciate your passion and fighting for everyone in your district. It has been wonderful to work with you. And Councilwoman Mendoza, thank you for your leadership on everything from bringing good public safety services and ambulance care to the Levine area, to more transportation options or caseworkers at Travis Williams. We will enjoy celebrating your legacy and continuing to implement it for a long time. So it has been a pleasure working with both of you, and I suspect we will continue to get to work with both of you in many ways. Thank you for your service and for being champions for your district. Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you. I want to congratulate 2 exceptional students, both from Barry Goldwater High School, that were voted Young Man and Woman from District 1's, James Lacknell and Julia Bolotski. I just murdered her name. They are truly accomplished young people with a tremendous bright future, and I'm very proud that they are from District 1. Also want to invite everyone to join me at Agave Library. It's the 10th anniversary celebration at 9 a.m., Saturday, June 8th. We're going to celebrate the library's past and present and future. And the next District 1 community breakfast is Friday, May 31st at the Doubletree Metro Center. I also want to mention the Phoenix Conservative of Music, which is in D1, takes used gift cards and makes them into guitar picks. So if you happen to have any laying around the house, or if you would drop them off at my office or at Metro Center in their office, it would be greatly appreciated. So I think they're pretty ingenious because these are students from low incomes that are learning all types of music, and for them to take and cut up gift cards to make guitar picks is pretty amazing to me. And I too want to thank the two councilwomen. You have just been exceptional, and Phoenix is a better place because of you. So thank you for your dedication and hard work.
Mayor?
Councilman Nowakowski.
Well, Mayor, first of all, I just want to thank everyone that came out to the Star Spangled celebration. What a great event. Levine was on fire. There's all kinds of things happening at Cesar Chavez Park. We had closing ceremonies for the Levine Little League. We had about 1,000 people out there, and then another couple of thousand for the Star Spangled celebration. And it was a great, great celebration. Thank you to the Parks and Rec and the police and fire department for all their support in helping us put that together, and especially to the Rutherford family and also the Glassman family that had family members there giving testimonies and being present there to letting people know that their sons and their fathers were still alive and in our spirits, and that we need to keep this legacy of both their parents alive, right? And then the other thing is, I just want to remind everyone that Memorial Day weekend is Saturday. We open up our swimming pools, so get ready and make sure you watch your kids around water. And if there's all kinds of free swimming lessons, and making sure that if your kids don't know how to swim, that they go out there and they take swimming lessons. And also we found out that a lot of parents don't know how to swim, and that it's really important that the parents also, before diving in, trying to rescue your children, that you should know how to swim, first of all. And I just really want to make sure that the summer, a lot of graduations are going out there, and parents are wondering, what can I do with our children during the summertime? Our Parks and Rec have all kinds of programs, and our library. So you can look up on phoenix.gov the library programs that we have, and throughout our website of our Parks and Rec, all the different programs that we have going on there. And Vanya, I just want to wish you good luck and thank you for everything you've done within our community and making it a better place to live in. And I know that you're such a special person, and the impact that you're going to have on the city of Phoenix is going to be great. And also, Councilmember Mendoza, I know how hard you work, and I had the experience of working with you for over 20 years now, and to see you grow into such a great leader, and the way that you lead the community, you're a real servant leader. And it was amazing. For the last 12 years that I've been on the council, we've never had a community group come and present a council member with a plaque of appreciation. So it shows your hard work, your dedication, your servant leader type of style. So keep up the work. I don't think it's going to be our last time we'll see you around. Hopefully not. The city of Phoenix needs more leaders like y'all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you,
And
Councilman.
Councilwoman Pastor, the very busy councilwoman who went to 6 graduations in one day.
I did. Just want to remind everybody I'm having a coffee chat next week, May 29th at 2937 West Indian School Road. We will be talking about the Indian School overpass and what's going to be built on the I-17, and want all neighborhoods there. We will be partnering up or collaborating with ADOT that night regarding the Indian School. Also want to say there are many graduations going on, and want to congratulate those that are graduating from 8th grade promotion, high school, and college and community college. The graduation fever is happening, and in addition to that, many people in our great community have received scholarships and internships. So I want to congratulate all those in the community that helped them get there, but also those that received it. Do want to send a shout out to my Sophia, who had a 4th grade promotion this morning, and I'm just giving her a shout out since we were there clapping and yelling as a I call myself a mom that is always screaming and yelling. You'll know where I'm at, especially on a baseball field or a softball field and a basketball game. I usually sit up really high because I'm too into the game. And so today I was into Sophia and screaming her name as she walked and got her little promotion. And so I wanted to congratulate my daughter. So thank you.
Thank you. Congrats, Mom. Councilwoman Mendoza.
Thank you, Mayor. This is my last policy meeting, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank some of the people who were instrumental in giving me the opportunity to be part of this council for the last 9 months. It has been a humbling and growing experience for me. First, I want to thank Councilman Waring for nominating me. Thank you for your vote of confidence, and I can proudly say I got a yes from you. And I can check off that on my bucket list.
With me nominating you, I'm surprised you're here at all.
I also want to thank Councilman DeCiccio for your overall support. I appreciate your knowledge and your encouragement. Councilwoman Williams, I have always admired you. I was honored to serve on the council during your time as an acting mayor. We accomplished many things, such as the Central Light Rail extension. We expedited a 5-year street pavement maintenance plan to 18 months. We voted to improve our water infrastructure. Councilwoman Deborah Stark, I've been extremely lucky to have been sitting next to you. You completed all my zoning motions. And every time I needed guidance or I needed to run something by you, you always been there and given me great advice. So thank you so much. I'm trying to hold it together. Councilman Nowakowski, most people don't know that I've been working for you for about 20 years or so, since I was in high school. You've been a constant mentor and an advocate for me, and anyone who has worked with you knows that you're not a selfish person. Not only do you encourage people to follow their dreams, you help them accomplish them as well. And that is what you did for me, and I'm very grateful. I want to thank you and your entire family for taking me as one of your own and for helping me grow personally and professionally. I want to thank staff who I work with closely: Ed, Deanna, Mario, Alan, Chris, Mackie, Kenny, Marcus, Catherine Sorensen, Shirley from NSD. Inger, you worked closely with me on projects that truly made a difference in our constituents' lives. My district has been incredible. They get things done. My staff, they love the community. They serve and it shows through their hard work and dedication every day. My chief of staff, Lori, has been a machine nonstop. I can't even keep up with her. Luz Rodriguez is one of the best community advocates I've seen. She genuinely wants to help and make a difference in people's lives. Natalia, the support you provide is critical to the work we do and serve District 8. Your knowledge and relationships with our constituents have been invaluable. I would also like to thank everyone in District 8 who I was proud to get to know and serve for the last 9 months. When I came to this country, my first home was in District 8, and to be able to sit here and serve the district I called home then and call home now is an honor. My goal has always been to work diligently to ensure District 8 gets their fair share and continues to thrive. With the help of our amazing community, we have completed many important projects. I would like to highlight just a few of these. The construction of the water basins for a community that flooded every monsoon season. Mario was very instrumental in helping me getting this done. The renovation of 2 pocket parks, Iototo and Linang. These parks have not been renovated since the 1970s. Increased lighting at Townsend Park to increase safety. A community marquee for the NRC building that's underway. In the addition to our budget of a full-time ambulance in Levine, an area that is growing with retail, homes, a Harkin Theaters now, and the brand new freeway opening this year. Finally, I could not be doing what I love if it wasn't for the support of my family, my husband, who has shown unconditional support, encouragement, and understanding, and keeps me sane sometimes. and my two daughters who have been part of this work for the past 12 years. So just thank you, everyone. That's it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Beautiful testimony. Councilwoman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to give my parents a shout out who have come to most policy meetings and council meetings. I unfortunately never made any sports teams, so they couldn't come cheer me on for basketball or like softball games, but they come to my council meetings, and I just want to acknowledge that having been raised with the morals, integrity, and the values that they've instilled in me have really influenced me in my ability to be a big sister, a now auntie, a councilwoman, and a member of a community that I love so much. And so thank you for always reminding me, telling me, and showing me what it means to love as I'm loved and to always respect others. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And now we will move to the formally agendized portions of the meeting. We do have a translator here, if you would be willing to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mayor. Me llamo Carmen Barajas. Si ocupa intérprete, déjeme saber. My name is Carmen Barajas. I'm here to interpret. If you need an interpreter, please come by the table. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager, do you have any reports?
Mayor, none today. We're ready to go to the agendized items.
Wonderful. We will move to item number 1, monsoon preparedness, as we approach the official start of the summer monsoon season.
Thank you, Mayor. This item will be led, as you see, we have many people, will be led by Assistant City Manager Milton Dahoney.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council. Since the great floods of 2014, we have continued to evolve the way we approach and execute during the monsoon season. We have become a lot more aggressive about training staff, including non-sworn, as a lot of institutional knowledge has retired or otherwise left the organization. Each year, we have tried to bump up our technological capacity so that we can be more efficient and coordinated in our response to weather or environmental incidents. We have also broadened our philosophy on the best way to address these situations, moving from primarily a city-centered response focus to a full community response model. For that to be successful, it requires deliberate expansion of community partnerships, making it more literal that all hands on deck means just that. With us today to make our presentation is Emergency Manager Lisa Jones, Assistant Fire Chief Shelley Jameson, Red Cross Associate Michael Young, Streets Director Kenny Knutson, Communications Director Julie Waters. And joining us in our audience are some of our community partners, Pat O'Toole from the Salt River Project, Linda Brady from the Salt River Project, Alan Clark from ASU, Rob Rowley from Maricopa County Department of Emergency Management, Nicole Fuller, a student from ASU, and I need to point out that Nicole Fuller is the person that built the dashboard that we use to monitor weather situations, so a special accolade to her. And then Ken Waters from the National Weather Service. And with that, I will turn it over to Lisa Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Dahoney. Mayor Gallego, members of the council, good afternoon. I want to thank you for allowing us to present to you on how we as a city is preparing for the monsoon season. Some might ask, what is a monsoon and when does the season begin? The monsoon is essentially a change in the weather pattern where dry winds that normally come from the west shift to the south, bringing up moist air from the Gulf of California. When combined with the heat of the summer, fuels the storms. The official monsoon season is June 15th through September 30th. There are 4 major hazards that we can anticipate to occur this summer. The first is extreme heat, the #1 weather killer across the country and Arizona. The haboob, characterized by a large dust storm with a wall of dust marching across the city. lightning, which kills more people per year than hurricanes and tornadoes across the country. And then finally, flooding. Although some flooding is common, we are more concerned when microbursts and flash floods occur. This is a picture of a microburst from 2016 that occurred over the Phoenix-Ahwatukee area. Microbursts can cause wind gusts up to 150 miles per hour and can drop a lot of rain in a very short amount of time. Flash floods can come with no warning, cause power outages, disrupt transportation, and damage buildings. It can carry with it rocks, mud, and other debris that can sweep away most things in its path. The hazards of monsoon season can really impact our community members, our residents, and your constituents. At the residence, multi-unit housing, when they're out and about and become stranded, and when they're out and about trying to enjoy one of our many parks. We have to work very hard and we have worked very hard, I should say, to incorporate many lessons year over year and understand how these hazards can impact our residents. We understand that sand is very important to our community members. Many departments have worked together to evolve our sand deployment plan to the model that we use today. When severe weather is anticipated, we strategically disperse roll-off containers with sand to determine locations across the city. Once containers are in place, we notify the communications office to update the website and social media accounts. Our goal is to ensure sand is available to residents when they need it. Here are the identified parks that have been earmarked for each council district. However, because the containers are mobile, we can move them anywhere a need exists. Another important piece of how the city prepares for the monsoon season is the Monsoon Preparedness Workshop. And I have to give the mayor a shout out who's attended our monsoon workshop many years when you were a council member, so thank you. The first part of the day, we will be in the large open area of the Phoenix Fire Training Academy, where departments and some external partners come together to demonstrate equipment and tools that will be used during the monsoon. The second half of the day, we bring all city departments together to discuss the communication protocols and response expectations. We also invite the media to interview our staff and our partners on what they do. Our goal here is, through our media partners, to let the community know what is going on to support a safe city this summer. This is the Tactical Operations Center, or TOC, located on the 14th floor of City Hall. The duty officer sitting there on post is the conduit for all information coming in from city departments as well as our external ones outside of the city on a 24/7 basis. This space was created to help us to manage information, develop situational awareness, and to monitor weather hazards. We worked with the Budget and Research Department to identify grant funding for this project. Mr. Dahoney mentioned the dashboard that we partnered with Arizona State University to create. We're able to see information regarding weather hazards all in one place. When I have gotten calls after hours and at home, the first thing I do is go into my office and log into the dashboard. I'm able to see what is happening across the city right now and in one place. When Nicole leaves, we're hopeful that ASU will allow a new student to come in and continue to improve this tool. This is an incredible tool that will only get better with time, and I want to thank Nicole and Professor Gall for all of the time spent on this project. Events like what you see here dictate a response that includes external partners to solve the problem and recover the city. This was the aftermath of the storm that moved through Phoenix in 2014. I know we all remember where we were when this occurred. These stranded cars represent families that were affected by the storm. This was the aftermath of a storm that moved through in August of 2017 in the 40th Street and Shea area. Now imagine the same thing occurring in a more vulnerable and less resilient area of the city. Imagine 10 or 14 apartment complexes without power for a day when it's 110 degrees outside and 115 degrees inside. There are cascading effects to something like this. The Red Cross is one of our most critical partners. I met Beth Boyd, an American Red Cross disaster director, early in my tenure when we worked together to shelter families displaced by flooding overnight. She is out of town today, but we do have Mr. Michael Young that will share a few words with us.
Thank you. Our primary role is in response to the disasters, and we really appreciate working with the Office of Emergency Management, where we can, due to their leadership and coordination and situational readiness. What we're all about is that immediate response, getting people somewhere away from the affected area and into safety. And then we move into, if it's going to be long-term, providing feeding. We don't feed directly, but we work with community partners. Often local restaurants will provide the food initially at no cost as a community service. Southern Baptists are pretty good cooks if it goes a little further than that. Once people are safe and out of the way, then we'll look at long-term effects and do follow-up casework. The biggest challenge with monsoons is identifying a place to put the number of people that can be impacted. Your place doesn't have to be necessarily impacted directly by the storm, but the power may be shut off for days, and that presents a real problem. So we really appreciate working with the Emergency Management Department here in Phoenix and identifying potential shelter sites and making them available for residents when that's necessary, because that's a very important piece. Like I said, if people need to go there for 24, 48 hours and they can return home, all the better. But if the shelter must remain longer, that's a possibility. We came very close last night with the incident on 3rd Street with I believe the kids in the area there, and the power went off. We may have had to shelter 200 people last night. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but we got the calls and we were prepared. We're in a constant state of readiness.
Thank you, Michael. Partners like the Red Cross are invaluable to supporting families experiencing a crisis. Thank you for all you and your team do every day to help the community. For large incidents, we will be in the Emergency Operations Center. In addition to key departments, we have space for other jurisdictions, businesses, nonprofits, and others as required to address an event. The city and our partners have great relationships. We have taken the time to get to understand how our roles and responsibilities intersect and how to work effectively together, all in support of our mission of a prepared and resilient city. We are ready for the monsoon season, Mayor. I will turn the next part of the presentation over to Chief Shelley Jameson.
Thank you, Lisa. Mayor, members of the council, good afternoon. During monsoon storms, the number of 911 calls increases 2.5 times the normal rate. The Phoenix Fire Department Dispatch and Deployment Center is prepared for this. The 911 Dispatch Center is designed uniquely so that we can get trucks rolling quickly during periods of high call volume. Our apparatus deployment model is highly flexible during monsoon storms. We have the ability to streamline our resources. This optimizes our ability to respond to the large number of monsoon-related emergencies without having to hire back or call in off-duty personnel. In addition, we have additional emergency response units that are located in specific regions throughout the city. These are designed to be relocated if necessary when major incidents deplete our resources. Our first responders are trained to manage some of the unique situations that present themselves during monsoon season, such as large fallen trees, flooded roadways, and broken power lines. When power is lost to major areas of the city, our fire stations have backup systems that allow us to continue to service our service seamlessly without interruption to critical components such as the ability to open and close our bay doors or to receive crucial dispatch and radio information inside the station. Our firefighters possess highly technical specialty rescue response capabilities. Technical rescue technicians are prepared for dangerous swift-water rescue and high-angle rescue as well. These are extremely risky. We train year-round to prepare for them. We're also prepared to protect the victims that we help during rescues. We carry additional personal flotation devices, helmets, and eye protection for our customers. Our hazardous materials technicians are prepared and trained to respond to unique hazmat issues. These happen during monsoon storms and often result from the heavy onslaught of rain. Finally, one of our important partners is the Phoenix Police Department's Air Unit. As you know, we work closely with their pilots and airships year-round to effect dozens of rescues in our mountain parks. During monsoon storms, these same highly trained firefighters and pilots possess the capability to extract victims from difficult-to-reach areas, such as automobiles stranded in rushing water or flooded roadways, flooded washes, forgive me. These highly technical responses require hundreds of hours of training, specialty equipment, and outstanding coordination among our agencies. Now I'd like to introduce another one of our important partners, and that is Street Transportation Director Kenny Knudsen.
Good afternoon, Mayor and members of the council. In the Street Transportation Department, the challenges of the annual monsoon season are not new to us. Much like the other departments and agencies arrayed around the table and behind us, we strive to focus on being prepared and be ready no matter what severity or frequency of the storms that happen during the season. So before this monsoon season begins, we first focus in on preventative maintenance efforts to ensure that when stormwater begins to flow, it goes where it is designed and planned. Although we perform maintenance throughout the year, we also know that our storm drain facilities will be tested to a greater extent during the monsoon season. Our pre-monsoon efforts focus on basins like this one on the screen, where you can see before and after photos of the work we do to prepare for the monsoon season. We also focus maintenance efforts on washes and drainage structures, trimming vegetation, and inspecting and clearing catch basins and storm drains. Finally, we sweep our city streets on a routine basis that ensure debris, rocks, and dirt do not create issues for how water flows through and over our network of streets. As we enter a monsoon season, we know that each storm event is unique, and our response to the storm is also unique. Throughout the season, we encounter storms that we can prepare for that never materialize, and storms that hit quickly almost out of the blue, and storm cells that we know are coming and deliver a punch, but to provide us the ability to prepare well in advance for. Our department works closely with emergency management to monitor storm forecasts with a goal of always being ready no matter what. Part of our preparation is to ensure that our staff is prepared for each storm event. We have staff who respond to storm events from 4 locations around the city. They are ready to respond, and we have the ability to escalate our response with additional resources depending on the location or the severity of the storms. Part of our in addition to preparing our staff to respond, we also stockpile materials that we know we will need to respond to storm-related damage. For example, cold patch asphalt material is one of the critical materials we need to repair potholes that result from monsoon rains. We also ensure that the equipment and vehicles that we need to respond to in monsoon storms are ready to roll, whether they are dump trucks, front-end loaders, road graders, or Vector trucks like this one in the photo. All are essential in our coordinated response efforts. When the monsoon storms inevitably hit our city, whether it is at 2 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, our department moves quickly to get boots on the ground. It seems no matter the severity of the storm, our first responses are typically to down trees in the roadway caused by wind or rain or a combination of the both. When we respond to trees and other obstructions in our streets, our first priority is to clear the roadway so that emergency vehicles are able to get where they need to go. Our second priority is to ensure our roads are safe for the traveling public. With those monsoon storms that bring significant rainfall, our storm drain facilities do their best to convey the water where it needs to go. However, there are areas where the rainfall overloads these systems and localized flooding occurs. We deploy equipment in these areas to help remove standing water from our roads. Again, our first priority is to provide access to emergency vehicles, and secondarily, for the safe use of our streets by the public. In addition to boots on the ground, we also work to provide accurate and updated information about what streets and roads are impacted by the storm events. Since the 2018 monsoon season, our department has coordinated closely with fire and police to get close to real-time information on the street restrictions and closures due to storm activity. We have a web page available to the public and the media that provides information on current street restrictions and closures. The map you see on the screen is interactive and allows the user to zoom in to any city roadway. The red dots and lines on the screen depict restrictions or closures of streets around the city. A user can select one of these and information about this restriction or closure is provided, including whether the restriction is a planned restriction or closure or is due to an emergency. After the clouds have passed and rain has stopped, our work is not yet done. After the storm, we shift our focus to assessing damage and restoring our roadways to their pre-storm condition. In many cases, only minor repairs are necessary and can be done rather quickly. In others, where damage is more significant, major repairs must be made in order to make our roadways safe for travel. Sometimes in our storm response is just a matter of clearing the roadway and cleaning it up the mess. This is especially true when desert washes flow across our streets. The mud, vegetation, and debris that was carried by the storm lingers and is left there. Our maintenance crews head out to these areas and work as quickly as possible to get them restored. I will now turn it over to Julie Waters, who will talk about our monsoon-related communication efforts.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. It's a pleasure to join you this afternoon. The Communications Office has an annual summer safety campaign that includes monsoon preparedness, along with heat safety messaging, water safety, and general information related to the summer season in Phoenix. Our preparation for messaging begins in the spring as we put together this summer safety flyer. You have a copy of the 2019 edition there in front of you. This flyer will serve as our June newsletter for the City Services Bill and is also available online. And new this year, the flyer is being translated in Spanish. It will be posted on the city's website, shared on the city's bilingual Twitter account, and pitched to our diverse media, which will include a written column for Spanish-language newspaper La Voz, as well as a topic for our regular Spanish-language radio interviews. And we will put hard copy flyers of this in English and Spanish in our city facilities. In addition, we have monsoon preparedness and summer safety messaging on the city website. We have a social media campaign that runs all summer long. Phoenix TV will have stories about preparedness and summer safety, and those videos will be seen both online and on the air. The digital billboards that are located outside Talking Stick Resort Arena will display our safety messaging through the entire month of July. The city's telephone on hold system will include safety messaging throughout the summer. And finally, we will work with the local media to share monsoon preparedness and summer safety messages. During the storm, our team of communicators is prepared to work round the clock to provide messaging. You may be familiar with the Phoenix City Cams. These are the 4 cameras that are mounted at City Hall that give views of the north, south, east, and west. Well, during the monsoon, those cameras are one tool that we use in conjunction with the Office of Emergency Management with Lisa Jones and her staff, where we can monitor the storms from anywhere because the cameras are online and we can all see them from a smartphone. Anybody can from anywhere in the world. Plus, we can share those views instantaneously with our residents on social media, and our local media partners will also use those views to monitor the storms and provide information to the television viewers. Here are some basic messaging examples. This is a tweet from last year where we incorporated a short video from the Phoenix City Cam of a powerful monsoon, and then we made sure to incorporate our safety messaging. This is from the city's main Facebook account. These hotline numbers that are actually, if you look on the back side of the flyer right here, these are posted and shared quite a bit on our social media. It's very popular. And from the city website, you can see that we call this the red banner. Think of like newscasts where you see breaking news. Well, that's really what this graphic is all about. It's an alert banner on the front page of phoenix.gov, and we utilize this banner for urgent or emergency messaging, usually related to the monsoon or to the heat. Finally, we really believe in enabling people, teaching them, and helping our residents, and a true public information campaign does that. It always has a call to action. So once again, here are these hotline numbers. They're very popular. They're located, like I said, on the back side of the flyer on the city website, and then we put them on our social media. We encourage our residents to cut that out of the flyer when they get it in their June newsletter and to post it on their refrigerator or someplace at home, or we're also encouraging them to take a picture of it with their smartphone, and then they can carry it with them. Here's another call to action. We remind drivers to not cross flooded roads and to obey all signs. We work with police and fire, our subject matter experts usually on that messaging. And then on the right side, you can see we educate homeowners and business owners about purchasing flood barriers at local hardware stores. This is something they can own and have 24/7 instead of sandbags. And this is a message that emergency management really asks us to push out as well. Here's another call to action. It's highly recommended that residents and business owners have a go kit in case you have to evacuate. This is a portable pack that contains items in it so you can be self-sufficient for up to 3 days. Things like water, food, cash, first aid supplies, phone chargers, batteries, different things like that. And finally, we always advise that our residents to remember everyone in their home. This includes our 4-legged family members. Make sure you are prepared to protect your animals before, during, and after a monsoon. We have pet preparedness messaging on our website, which includes making sure our pets have proper identification and that we have a go kit for our animals should we need to take them with us in an evacuation. Again, this is another one of our regular messages. Finally, the Communications Office has a lot of this information that I just shared with you, either electronically or in printed format. If you need any of this messaging for your newsletters or for your constituent meetings, please let me know. We're happy to help you with anything that we have. The only thing we cannot give you is that puppy because she belongs to my son. This concludes our presentation.
We'd be happy to accept any questions from the mayor and the council. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. I believe this preparation really helps keep our residents safe and prevent property damage, so thank you all for this excellent presentation, and thank you to our partners who help us prepare for the summer monsoon season. We've talked a lot about how impactful our weather can be. Sometimes we can be complacent because we have such beautiful weather in the Phoenix area, but when we have those bad monsoons, they really can impact our residents. And we've learned a lot from the 2014 floods with the presidential disaster declaration. We've installed a lot of new systems, early warning from flood control, as well as many procedures. And this is only a sampling of what the city's done, which is also important. We have folks in human services who are working with vulnerable populations. We have our planning department helping homeowners associations prepare for the summer monsoon season and to reduce flood damage. So this really is an effort that cuts across the entire city, and I think we will be better served for it. So thank you all. Do we have Councilwoman Stark?
Thank you, and this is probably a silly question, but you know, every monsoon season we lose so many trees. Have we done any studies to see what trees might be more resistant in a storm, especially the ones that are put in the medians and the roadways?
Mayor, Councilwoman Stark, yes, we constantly look at the palette of trees that we're looking at, be able to do in the right of way. We know some that historically have shallow root systems or don't do well when they're around the hot asphalt, especially around the roadways. And so, fortunately, you know, the council a few years ago allowed us to have a budget to be able to replace all of those trees. So when we do lose those trees in a storm event, we have a program in place to be able to go back and replace those, not only in the streets, but also I know Parks and Recreation also has a budget of money to be able to replace trees that are lost in the park system as well. But we're always looking to be able to find ways to have those trees last longer so we don't have the issue of them losing those during the storm systems.
Thank you. It's just a shame to see all those trees after a storm and they're down, and I'm happy to hear you keep studying it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Mendoza.
Thank you, Mayor. I know during monsoon season we do an assessment of damages. Is the city doing an assessment of infrastructure and improvement, especially in neighborhoods during the monsoon seasons? For example, in my district, I have Garfield, Levine, Southern Hills, that may need, that actually need drainage or street improvements. So during monsoon seasons, do you guys do any kind of assessment throughout the communities?
Mayor, Councilwoman Mendoza, during the storm events, whether it happens in the monsoon season or any time throughout the year, it provides us the opportunity to be able to see where we have some of those local flooding areas. Those are then put on a list where we can study what needs to be done in there. And we are able to prioritize those based on the funding we have available to address those localized funding. We do partner with the Flood Control District of Maricopa County on funding some of those smaller projects to be able to address the ones that are really impact the neighborhoods there. But then we also have ones like the storm drain basins that we're working on right now in the Levine area that will greatly help some of that flow and runoff of South Mountain that caused some of that flooding that we saw, especially in 2014. And so we're always looking for those locations where we have a project or something we can do to be able to improve the flooding issues that may happen out on no matter what council district it is.
Good question. Thank you. Any additional questions? Well, thank you for that excellent presentation. Councilman Nowakowski.
Sorry about that. Mayor, last year we created a 1.5-minute video that's on my Facebook that the do's and don'ts of monsoon season. It's part 1, and we're going to be having a part 2 coming out pretty soon. So if you have a chance, go on my Facebook and you can check it out. It's pretty good. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, we wish you a very boring monsoon season. Next, we will move to agenda item number 2, the budget.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This is now the first action in a series, although it feels like we've been doing the budget for a long time. We now have another string of actions ahead of you that are required by the charter or by state law. And so we're here today seeking the first approval of the 2019-2020 budget. I want to thank our department leadership throughout the city who've participated, our budget and research staff who put this together, mostly Mayor and Council. I want to thank you all for facilitating the work and for digging into this budget to help create something that we call a budget about people and programs for a stronger Phoenix. This 2019-2020 budget is balanced, and it is about providing resources for people and programs for a stronger Phoenix. It specifically invests more in neighborhood preservation and revitalization, public safety, community and youth services, homelessness prevention, infrastructure maintenance, and Census 2020 outreach efforts. It also responds to the city's strong economic growth, funds our pension systems and workers' compensation programs, and gives the first across-the-board pay increase for our employees beyond the concessions that have been given over the past 10 years. So I want to thank you all and the community for recognizing the value of the services that our employees provide. We strive to live up to that trust every day. And with that, I'll ask our Budget and Research Director, Jeff Barton, to quickly go through the budget proposal, and then we'll turn it back to you, Mayor. Thank you.
Mayor, members of the council, good afternoon. It is a little refreshing to sit here today and follow a stormy forecast that it's not delivered by me. So I just want to say, you know, it's refreshing. Again, I'm going to be very brief because we've spent a great deal of time talking about the budget, and I'm not going to go into it in great detail. But again, as you know, by state statute and city charter, we are required to adopt a balanced budget. Next year's proposed budget, as you can see from the screen, is currently sitting at $1.394 billion, both resources and expenditures being equal to one another. Again, in that $1.3 billion budget is the $55 million surplus that we took out to the community after we presented it to you on March 19th for a series of 20 community budget hearings and all of the programs and services that were proposed against that $55 million. Also included in that number is the $465,000 worth of additional services that we proposed to you on May 7th, based on additional resources that we were able to identify. And also, again, just by virtue of full disclosure, again, the total combined property tax rate for next fiscal year is estimated to be $2.13. That's a 1 cent decrease from the current rate of $2.14. And again, also in full disclosure, even though that rate is decreasing, we will levy and collect more because of new construction and property value growth. So again, a high-level overview. The trial budget that we took out to the community included $55 million worth of programs allocated amongst 6 discrete areas. First and foremost was employee compensation. So roughly 70% of that total surplus was allocated to employee compensation, pension, and workers' compensation. And again, we have concluded all of the negotiating with all of our labor groups. As of today, I believe we got final signatures. So that is also great news, and thank you for your hard work on that. We also allocated $6.5 million to public safety for both police and fire, but outside of police and fire, things like library security, cybersecurity, mental health, and veterans court. We also allocated $3.5 million for neighborhood preservation and revitalization, specifically looking at neighborhood inspectors, neighborhood specialists, and things of that nature like park rangers and other things. We also allocated $1.3 million for community services, and there we focused on youth and libraries and restoring those library hours. You heard me last time talk about that mantra that we heard throughout the budget hearings, every library, every day. Also, in full disclosure, I go home to a librarian every night. My wife is a librarian, so again, I hear it even without the budget process. So infrastructure, we also allocated $2.9 million there as well. So specifically looking at our old facilities that are aging and making sure that we have adequate staff there to rehabilitate and keep those systems and those buildings operational, but also increasing street landscape maintenance, something that you also heard a little bit about in the prior presentation. So going from 3 times a year to 4 times a year. We also increased or added funding $1.4 million, $1.355 to be exact. I'm rounding. This is budget. So again, we added that money for census to make sure that every resident in the city of Phoenix is accurately counted because our state shared revenue is largely dependent on accurate counts. Also, in the trial budget, we had $6.3 million worth of non-general fund additions, and I'm going to highlight three. Planning and development, we added $2 million in 19 positions, specifically to address growth and the increased development activity that Alan is dealing with. Also, 11 positions and $768,000 for streets to be able to handle that accelerated pavement maintenance program that you've been working on for the last couple of months. And then finally, water, $3.1 million and 21 positions to make sure that they can adequately prepare and maintain their 91st Avenue wastewater treatment facility. Again, we took the budget out, the trial budget out 20 times between April 2nd and April 18th. What we heard largely, we did hear some conflicting views. We heard some residents that were really pro-park rangers and some not so much, right? We also heard the same thing as it pertained to public safety. So I'm going to give you a brief summary. Again, most of our residents wanted to ensure that we preserve existing city services, those services that they depend on a daily basis. We also heard increased demand for funding for homelessness and affordable housing, youth programs, library access and expanded hours, street capital projects and pedestrian safety, and police oversight and community engagement, again, looking for additional resources and positions there, as well as art maintenance and arts maintenance funding. So again, based on that feedback and our ability to find $465,000 worth of additional resources, we proposed allocating those amongst two distinct areas. One, youth services. So we added $215,000 to activate more parks, to make more parks more operational throughout the longer portion of the year rather than just through summer. We also added funding for kindergarten boot camp to increase our services provided to our youngest residents in Phoenix, as well as providing $250,000 to address and affect homelessness and affordable housing. Specifically, the things we added there, we added $50,000 worth of funding to augment or leverage our existing ESG grants for energy and utility assistance. We also added a court navigator, a contract position for our homeless court, as well as what the mayor has now termed, I believe, an affordable housing czar. So again, that position will be responsible for ensuring the coordinated approach to affordable housing within the city. We also were a little bit creative. So taking the existing funding that was allocated to police, the $2.5 million that they had allocated, we actually adjusted the start dates on two of those two additions. Two of those additions were, one was central booking, the other was the I'm losing my train of thought here. So central booking and lab. So we, rather than start those July 1st, we moved them to October 1st. And by doing that, we freed up $300,000. I've moved that money into a set aside so that the police department can work with you and work with the community to implement the recommendations from the OIS study, the Officer Involved Shooting Study. So that money is held in reserve. It's not in their hands yet. It has to come through you before they have access to it. And then finally, again, we heard a lot about streets and pedestrian safety. So we've adjusted the CIP to incorporate the completion of the design for 13th Avenue in the Garfield neighborhood. We also added money to advance design for 3rd and 5th Avenues, as well as making sure that we had proper funding for pedestrian safety. So what we've done in the CIP, the street CIP already incorporated $1 million a year over the 5-year plan. This doubles it. So now there's $2 million a year for pedestrian safety to implement things like hawks and traffic medians. So again, following today, with an affirmative vote and an affirmative decision to move forward, we then can go forward with our legal adoption process. And what that looks like is on June 5th, we come back with tentative budget adoption. On June 19th, we come back with final adoption. And on July 13th, or July 3rd rather, thinking about my birthday, we come back for property tax adoption. One thing I do want to emphasize that I didn't reference earlier in this presentation is, again, the budget financially is the exact same as what we brought to you 2 weeks ago. But one thing is I want to give Inger kind of some kudos here. She's been actively working because she's took to heart a lot of the comments we heard about our park rangers at the last meeting, as well as throughout the course of the community budget hearings. And what Inger has gone out and done is she's got grant funding to make sure that all of our park rangers go through a mental health training for public safety. So that's also a good thing. She's also working actively with the police department to ensure that all park rangers go through the crisis intervention training. So to make sure that our park rangers are getting the exact same type of training that our officers are getting. So again, kudos to Inger for working on that as well. And that concludes my presentation. But again, I want to echo Ed's sentiment. I want to thank you for your hard work. I want to thank you for the direction that you've given us. I've been in BNR for over 19 years, and this is a budget that I actually feel really proud about because we're adding significant services to our community as well as addressing our employee compensation. So I feel really good about that, and I want to thank you personally and publicly for that.
Thank you. Thank you for your hard work, and thank you to your whole team for, it's been a long road to get here, but I think this really does reflect the community's priorities as we heard in the budget meetings and as we continue to hear. We have 5 cards today from citizens who'd like to comment. We will start with Ginny Ann Sumner, followed by Leonard Clark.
Good afternoon, Mayor Gallego and members of the council. Thank you. I support and appreciate the additional mental and crisis training for the park rangers. With our changing society, this training has become a necessity. If we choose another color for the park rangers' uniform, should we choose warm or cool or vibrant or light or dark? Or should the color appeal to the adults or to the children? Tan is a neutral color, so please let's not make a change. Money would be better spent with our park rangers. I do support all park rangers all park employees being able to call park rangers and contact information for the rangers posted on all our park signs. We are a nation of laws. Police officers routinely deal with people behaving at their worst. Our police officers enforce the law to protect our lives, liberty, and possessions, and to prevent crime and civil disorder. I support our police and their willingness to protect us. A safe community builds a vibrant community. So I support the proposed police budget expenditures. Thank you.
Thank you. Leonard Clark will be followed by Vidi Hernandez.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. My name is Leonard Clark. I'm a resident of beautiful District 1 in Phoenix, up in the north. I am highly concerned about pedestrian safety. It looks like you have put things in here, and I would like to be kept in the loop in the future because, as you know, we've had these horrible, tragic accidents, sometimes pedestrians even getting hit when they're not even crossing the street. So I'm confident that you're going to try all methods. I know that this was something when I lived in Glendale many years ago. I haven't checked the statistics, but I know that Mayor Scruggs at the time, Mayor Elaine Scruggs, you'll see the signs, it's our town, just slow down. You would think something like that would not work. I believe that statistics for accidents and that type of thing went down, but I would like to check into that. Also, I have family and friends in the far West Valley, in El Mirage and Surprise, and right now currently only buses go out in the morning for people to go to work in Phoenix, and then they leave in the afternoon to go back. I know you're hearing about it all the time, but I just think it's a real injustice that children and people who can, could participate in our marvelous mass transportation system, they can't utilize it, and they're stuck out in the West Valley. I mean, I'm not trying to put down the West Valley, it's just not right. And then finally, I would leave condolences for the family of the Phoenix firefighter, Brian Beck, who just passed away as a result of his job. Our firefighters breathe in cancerous chemicals on the job all the time, and our city workers put their lives on the line for the safety of our community, and I want to thank them. Thank you.
Thank you. Vidi will be followed by Ben Laughlin.
I'll take Ben's time as well. Sorry, Ben. Okay. Seed. Okay, thank you. Thank you all for being here. Today we are here for the 9 people that have been shot and killed this year by the Phoenix Police Department. And I just want to name them because I don't know if all of you know who they are. They're in your community. They're people, 2 of them were under 18 years old. Jacob Harris, Michael Joles, Casey Wells, Eric Hagstrom, Henry Wayne Rivera, Alejandro Hernandez, Eugene Horn, Hector Lopez, Robert Rabago. The crimes that they were committing during the time when they were shot and killed were economic crimes for a lot of them, the young people. And we know that that is an issue, and that is definitely an issue we want to solve, but how we're solving it right now are not solutions. There have been crimes for trespassing. One person was tasered to death when they were walking around naked. They were having a mental health crisis that day. Police cannot be the judge, jury, and executioners in our community. We believe in consequences if, when things happen, but we, more than that, believe in health and in solutions to hold the humanity of every single human being in our community. There are ways that we can spend resources to stop these things from happening instead of continuing to spend more money on surveillance, on policing, on criminalization of our community. By the time we make that call for help, or someone makes a call for help, the problems have already led to that moment. So how are we solving and stopping from getting to that moment? This budget includes some additional money for youth programs and housing, which we're glad because community members went out and spoke for those and asked for those. But these few additional dollars are nothing, are pennies, compared to what we spend on the surveillance and criminalization and overall policing of our neighborhoods and our community. There is an inequitable difference, and has been for several years, of how this money has been spent. Year after year, we continue to decrease funding for everything that makes us safe: housing, mental health, jobs, youth programs, while the police budget exponentially continues to grow. All you have to do is look at your own budget for the last 10 years and see the difference of how all the other budgets grow and how inequitable that looks like, especially for neighborhoods and the neighborhoods and communities of District 8, District 4, District 5, and District 7. The future of the city is on the line. We now have a new council and a new mayor, and these issues have not been priority. Phoenix is in an eviction crisis. We have some of the dirtiest air in the country. We are still leading as deadliest police force. All these things are true, and yet we have not heard a plan of how we're gonna move forward to get out of this moment that we are in right now. We have currently a new mayor. We're gonna have new council members in a few days. And we expect to hear a plan about how we're going to move forward, how we're going to build an accountable and transparent city council and police department. We allow this department to be ran by one of the most historically racist police unions in the country. There's no checks and balances from the city manager, the city council, a union that bullies and threatens the leadership and officers. We're tired of it. We won't rest until we hear a plan. We need leadership. We need you all to step up. And we're asking, how are you gonna step up? Because all of the crises we're in are not being solved. People are continuing to die. One is too many. We're saying this is it, not one more. We're tired, and we expect to hear bold plans to move the city forward with solutions on the issues that we're facing, and not continue to try to Band-Aid them on the back end.
Jason Velcruz.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, members of the council. My name is Jason Velcruz, and I represent the Arizona Coalition to End Sexual and Domestic Violence. The Coalition is a network of independent sexual and domestic violence programs in communities across the state, working with partners to prevent and eliminate sexual and domestic violence through dismantling oppression and promoting equity. According to the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, 32% of women and 27% of men experiencing homelessness report either sexual or physical assault in the past year. Trauma is a routine experience for people living without stable housing. Because of this, we are asking the city to support the people experiencing homelessness through treatment engagement and assistance provided by social workers or health professionals when they're visiting parks and libraries. Prior to my work at the Coalition, I worked for close to 13 years in a community-based health organization here in the city of Phoenix, and have personally seen the benefits that this approach can bring. City budgets are reflective of values of their residents, and we know that the people of Phoenix have requested this assistance be provided. We urge that the line item regarding guards at libraries and parks be changed to providing social services assisting the most vulnerable in the city. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. That concludes the cards I have from the public. Council member comments or a motion?
Mayor, first I want to thank staff, Ed, Jeff, all the people who attended all those meetings. You did exceptional work. You were there in support, and you were able to explain any question that was asked by a citizen. And I want to thank all the citizens who were there. I'm very pleased to be able to move approval of the 2019-20 City Manager's General Fund budget as presented. It's the same as May 7th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Mayor,
Any
just to
discussion?
clarify, the motion would be for the entire budget, which does include the general fund budget, but it would be the entire one.
The entire budget.
Thank you.
Just giving you a little thrill.
Councilmember comments? Roll call.
Councilman DeCiccio?
No.
Councilwoman Guevara? Councilwoman Mendoza?
Yes.
Councilman Nowakowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Pastor? Councilwoman Stark?
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Waring? Mayor Gallego?
Yes. By a vote of 7-2, the budget passes. Thank you. That concludes our business for today's meeting. We are adjourned.